Video is important for every business, and healthcare has a particular challenge where people are scared of it a little bit. There's a term that you used in your last podcast that I've used before also, which is humanizing. And I one time said that in front of a doctor, and the doctor looked at me in the face and said, "Am I not human?" We're making a video that allows people to get a preview into the window of like, who is this doctor? What do they do? Is there anything in common? And it really breaks down that barrier of people being afraid.
All right, welcome to Healthcare Marketing Edge, where we share stories and strategies to grow your healthcare practice. I'm Tim Bouchard, as always, owner and CEO of Luminous in Buffalo, New York, and today we're diving into how video is a great way for medical organizations and practices to attract and communicate with their patients. My guest is Jordan Lema from Lema Studios, who we work with all the time for video collaboration, so it's great to have you. But why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you guys do?
I will. Thank you. First of all, thanks for having me on, and it's awesome to talk about this with you. I'm Jordan Lema from Lema Studios, and we make videos, but we also make really anything that's media that's useful for businesses. We have a lot of legal clients, we've got medical clients, we've got manufacturing clients. We're really all over the board, all things video. But medical stuff in general holds a place in my heart, because you don't know this, but I started off in medical education. That was what I did.
How did I not know that?
I made online classes for doctors as my first job for years and years, and I worked in Buffalo General Hospital doing that. So I have deep roots in that, and off of that, we did the Jacobs Institute podcast, which is, the premier neurological institution in Buffalo, New York, and they wanted to make a podcast with their director, and we did a bunch of episodes of that before that director ended up moving on. So that was super cool. We do awesome videos with you that are mostly like meet the doctor type of videos so that people can get a good idea of who they're going to see when they get in there. And this is off-label, but we shoot a lot of people looking injured for personal injury law ads. So we have actually like a whole really mess kit full of medical devices, walkers, canes, and all that. And we do our best to make it look as real as possible when we do that.
It's like you're doing the full life cycle of an injury to a healing.
We do, yes.
Including all the legal that happens in the middle.
Well, with the legal stuff too, I mean, that commercial, you could flip that over and make that for an orthopedist or something real easy. You got the person who's in pain, like, oh, now they feel better. It's the same concept, just the doctors make you feel better medically. The lawyers make you feel better with money.
Yeah. How did you get involved deeper into, you've done some of the things with some mutual clients that we have too, but how have you gotten deeper into the healthcare video world?
Well, video is important for every business, and healthcare has a particular challenge where people are scared of it a little bit. So when there's video, it's really, there's a term that you used in your last podcast that I've used before also, which is humanizing. And I one time said that in front of a doctor, and the doctor looked at me in the face and said, "Am I not human?" And I partially want to say, asking it like that, I'm not quite sure. But the reality is, it's not that they aren't human. It's that within a medical organization, the doctors are often on a pedestal amongst the other staff at the organization. They are highly respected, highly paid people. They're extremely professional. And, there's a reason why they're treated the way they are. But in the same breath, that's intimidating to clients, patients, people that are going to be seeing them. So with your products, making these Meet the Doctor videos, we're making a video that allows people to get a preview into the window of like, who is this doctor? What do they do? Is there anything in common? And it really breaks down that barrier of people being afraid. So that type of communication is really effective, and we've really enjoyed exploring that with you.
Yeah, and I think it's the expertise level, and it's the idea that doctors are kind of untouchable, or almost even like they're behind the curtain. And the video aspect of it, even before someone reaches out to a practice or an organization, like it brings up the personality and almost like bedside manner in presentation format, basically for people to see firsthand before they even reach out.
Well, think about it. You're going to go and be extremely vulnerable about a serious condition that you're having, and you don't even know who you're going to see. You want to walk into that room cold and have someone standing in front of you and just meet them for the first time. Videos like that, where you get a preview into the physician's life, and I'll say humanizing again, to humanize them. You hear that they do the same things as you, that they may be from the same program or school or something, or they grew up in the same town, and it makes people, it's disarming. It makes people feel comfortable and safe, and I think it really helps to get people in the door.
Yeah, and you'll see this in almost every episode that I record, no matter who's on the podcast. The whole thing is based around trust. It's one of the highest trust, recruitment and engagement types of interactions between organization and audience that you can have. So that transparency and that vulnerability that you talked about, I mean, you can't lay a better foundation for trust than putting out some very real stories or relatable things that patients can grab onto. It's very good. And it's very, I mean, we'll get into this too, but it's very good to have that stuff documented. It's always reusable.
Well, absolutely. Anytime you're doing video, you can think about which avenues it can be played on. It may have a single purpose, that's its intended use right off the bat, but often these things could be reused in other ways. We haven't done this, but just even thinking about your Meet the Doctor videos, there's something in there that, out of those 20 videos, some sort of supercut where you're talking about, meet our podiatrists, and you have the 5, and you do a quick version of that where you show them. So video can always be repurposed in other ways. You can also pull sound bites from that stuff and have it be in social media posts. I mean, there's still a lot of radio advertising, TV advertising going on, and anytime there's a video, it can be sort of dissected into the parts that it is. You can even take screenshots for, still frames for website photos. So there's a lot that can come out of the video for multiple uses.
So let's step back from the doctors a little bit. There's other videos that practices can do too that will also build that familiarity and comfort with the pre-visit, if you will, even too. There's practice overview videos, there's post-treatment videos, or things that you've done and helped with in the past. How do they help with patients? How do they even help on the practice side, potentially even like saving time or building efficiencies and things like that?
Well, websites are word heavy, and there's a lot of information to be putting out there. So much information. A video often can take a lot of that data and put it into a real concise presentation for people. So something that may be 5 to 10 minutes for them to read everything, maybe there's a abridged version on video for a minute and a half or something that they can get, the gist of the information and see without using their imagination, right? You read the printed word, you have to imagine what this facility is like. With beautiful video, doctors invest in their spaces and places, their waiting rooms. It's part of the image. They want to show how great this place is, and you could do that with a video. So not only can you communicate, the services that you provide, the treatments that you do, but you can also show how great your space is, show that it's a welcoming environment, and generally give you that overview into the doctors too. So there's a lot that can happen in a minute and a half.
If you have enough of these assets too, you will literally paint the picture of the approach to visit, entering the building, interactions with staff, then the Meet the Doctors give you a bedside manner interaction preview. You can build the expectations before anyone even sets foot on premises.
So we've also done videos for recruiting doctors. We've done videos with our local health giants that are attracting new physicians, attracting physician assistants, attracting people to work at every level of the hospital. That's important too. Right now, hiring is a problem. HR people talk about people not showing up for interviews, about candidates being, spooked, not wanting to come in, and having a video that shows a candidate who's coming into the practice what it's like working there, who they're going to be working with, really makes people feel more comfortable. They're an informed applicant at that point, and they're not coming in cold. They have an expectation of what they're going to see and what they're going to do, and it makes for a smoother hiring process.
It's another one of those things that's often forgotten about. We think so much about patient recruitment, we forget that the people actually providing care, if the practice is growing, you have to build that team to be able to provide the way that you want to too. And the recruitment side on that side is super important as well.
For organizations of all sizes, if you think about it, I mean, a small, private practice office has staff turnover. They really need to keep their people. But if someone comes through and doesn't work out, they're going to have to replace that person. And a smaller team losing someone can hurt pretty bad. On the flip side of that, major health organizations have a pretty high churn rate. People are coming and going all the time, and they need to be able to show what their space is like so people can know what they're getting into.
And it's very high stakes for the small ones, but it's very highly competitive for the large ones. And those difference makers are a big deal for attracting some of the top talent. Go ahead.
Oh, so when you want the top talent, you want people to see how great it is when they're coming in. You want people to say, "Well, I was thinking about this practice, and it seems cool, but I saw this practice, and I saw their amazing video. I saw where their who their physicians are. I saw what it looks like over there. It looks fantastic." And that can be the difference in someone applying somewhere or another place.
Well, and if it's at the practitioner level too, you can also set an expectation on how you will showcase them and bring them to the market too. So it's very, very good from that aspect too. When it comes to the actual videos themselves, is it better to do long form videos, short form videos? Does it really even matter? What do you usually tell people when they talk about that type of, how are we committing to this time-wise?
For advertising purposes, promotional purposes, shorter is always better right off the bat. If it's in social feeds or if it's in even an email, trying not to keep people more than a minute and a half tops is really as long as you're going to want to go. For social feeds, really 15 to 30 seconds is where you want to be. There is a longer form video that is, anytime there's a longer form video, it's for people that are already interested and invested in the process. So if you're talking about what people should do after a treatment, and that ends up being a 5-minute video or something, that makes a lot of sense because people need to know how to recover, and they need to know what they need to do. So, you can be going over steps, you can be going over exercises, best practices for recovery. That can be longer because people are going to watch that. They need to recover. If it's promotional video, you're going to have a real hard time getting someone to watch something for 6 minutes. So, those minute and a half or less. If it's for a social feed, you're trying to attract people to watch that minute and a half. So those could be like 15 seconds or so.
I like that separation between someone that's committed to learning more already versus someone that you're trying to introduce concepts and people and practice approaches to. Like the shorter ones, give them the bite-size looks for getting them into the ecosystem. And once they're there and interested, have those extra resources that bring them the Meet the Doctor videos or the post-treatment videos or the practice overview video in a longer format where they're like, okay, I'm interested, show me more.
And generally those would live on a website versus a social feed because the social feed just keeps scrolling. It keeps going, right? So you could put a lot of time into a video. You could put it in that feed. And then 2 weeks later, it's just down the list. It's not really that hot anymore. But if it lives on like a landing page on the website or you have an area where there's some video content that you can review, that's a good place to park those videos on your website so that, you can find them easily. They're good for search that way. And it's just a place where it can live on. It's like a place for the video to live. If you think about 30 years ago, it's a long time, but people, the only way you could watch a video is if you had it like on a DVD or a TV or something. Hand it to someone. Now, we're living in this modern era where there's literally every website is a TV station that you have where you could put as much video as you want on it. It's fantastic.
the idea that we talked about earlier too, and you don't always have to go this way, but if you produce the longer format content, you can actually pull a lot of those shorter form snippets out of it. And then that's one way where you can tackle both things at once with one type of shoot and then, go from there. I'll also say from a long form standpoint, the other home is honestly YouTube. It is still the second largest search engine in the world. And with all the generative AI stuff coming out, Perplexity and Chat and AI Overview, Grok, you name it, YouTube is one of the top sources for information, mostly on the Google side, but you can see some of the other engines doing it. And if you have authoritative and topical and brand related content out there, that's going to be a big deal too.
So just to backtrack to your modular video format that you were just talking about, where you could break up a video into more segments. We often do that with, a 2-minute video broken up into, 4 30-second chunks. And so it's modular, right? It's like, here's the intro, here's this video about, in a hospital sense, here's a video about who we are and where we are. Here's a video about what we treat and what we treat and who's doing it, and then a conclusion, right? So that's actually 4 videos as modules that you can pull out and put other places. So you can watch them together, or you could watch them all separately, and you could use any one of those 4 pieces as a feeder to that longer video too. For more information, watch the longer one. But that's a pretty common thing to do, and it maximizes the video. That's something that we always try to do with our clients. Also, we always try to maximize the shoot time, right? So if someone wants to do a video shoot and they're bringing us out there for half day or a full day, we get them to try to think about what else do you think you could want down the road? And that is clearly an upsell for us, but it doesn't change anything with the shoot and the production time. And it allows them to, have the value of not doing another shoot to make more videos in the future. So it's an upsell for us with edits, but it's the ability to make more projects for someone at a discounted value price because we're not coming back out to do a second shoot.
Yeah, that is one of the sticking points for people to get into video, especially professionally produced video early on, is the time commitment, the production commitment, the cost commitment. But bringing ideas like that to the table where you can maximize a shoot and maybe even have separate licensing for raw footage, and then also just have the bank there for future projects. The splintered off short form videos, there's a lot there that you can pull from. And then you think about the website stuff too. There's your long form videos on website and YouTube, but if you do B-roll the right way, you can add motion and things to your website without going too crazy. It adds, there's a lot that you can pull from them, and everyone thinks that you're just paying for that one video edit for all that work. And it's just not the case. There's so many other things you can do.
There's so much that can come from it. And that you brought up a good point with the motion backs on websites. We end up doing a lot of that, and that's a pretty light lift on our end. We've already got all these clips organized and sorted, and it's usually making like 5 or 6 clips in a row, not a major investment to get something really awesome on your website.
Yeah, so you've obviously done things like this, and specifically, do you have something you've seen a practice in an organization gain from being able to do this type of video work, like the Meet the Doctors video or something like that?
Well, I requested some feedback from a client and got it, which is, so a lot of times, I'm the video producer and we make products for people, but you're on the website, right? You see web analytics, you see that. A lot of times we're just handing stuff over to people, and for better or worse, they do what they do with it. Sometimes there's not really a great distribution plan. It doesn't really go anywhere like they'd want it to because they think, oh, we made the video, now we'll put it online, people will watch it. Like, you do have to think about, where's it going to go? How's it going to be used? Are you going to sponsor it? Are you going to put money on it? So we don't get to see analytics very often. So I requested some for you, and it was better than I thought. It was pretty cool.
Well, we kind of had the inside scoop too. We knew it was pretty good too. This is a mutual client who we don't have to say who it is, but I have some hints on what I think it is.
Sure. So yes,
this
type of organization is a major provider of orthopedic care, and we make a lot of Meet the Doctors videos for them. I think before my time, you did like 20.
We did 28, I think, to start, and I think they've added almost 10 or so practitioners over the years since then.
So that's an incredible run that you did in a short period of time. Since then, they tend to add 2 or 3 a year, and we make those videos in a really like standardized way so they all match. That was pretty important. We want them to all look the same. So we have like a setup for that. But there's qualitative and some quantitative data here. This is what I heard back qualitatively. I've anecdotally heard people say they loved a particular doc's video or loved the fact that they are local and went to St. Joe's, which is a local high school, and came back, etc. Also, I'll personally send specific doc videos to people when they're interested in someone that may specialize in something, and they'll watch the video and say, oh, I love him, etc. So that was just a qualitative feedback from the marketing manager of this organization. So this is how the video is used, and that's an interesting thing, just sending the video to someone. You don't think about that, but if you have a video that's really hyper-targeted for someone, that could be a pretty fast conversion. You know, if you're sending it to someone and you know they're going to watch it because they're already pretty interested, the video can push people over the edge pretty quickly.
Yeah, patients have choices. It's your job as an organization and our job as marketers and creatives to help people understand why the preference lies with your organization.
So quantitatively, we have more feedback. So I will quote it here. Here's some feedback, an insight I can offer. Team and physicians, in quotes, are always in our top 10 visited pages, which suggests to me that patients and prospective patients are actively researching their providers. To add further context to this, Meet the Physician's bio videos are hosted on Vimeo, and those video links are embedded to each doctor's bio page. The most viewed videos are the 5 doctor videos. So that's pretty awesome. And the completion of watching is from 52 to 91%. So these are a little bit longer format video. These are about 4 minutes. And they've got people on average watching half to almost the whole thing is the average. So that's really impressive, to be honest with you. That's a very high viewership of videos like this. Lastly, of their top 10 videos, 5 of them are their Meet the Physician videos. So people really are watching these things, and it's got to be driving decisions when people are looking for care.
Yeah, we had, this is early stats from a couple of years ago, but when we launched their new site, because this was that mutual client that we have, they actually saw an inquiries and bookings increase of about 41% over the old site, which we had also done the old site too, but we didn't actually, I mean, this was eight years ago we did that old site, but the new site, we went really deep and hard into patient experience and physicians out front. And that conversion rate just skyrocketed as soon as we did that. And to their credit, they have invested regularly on doing video work like this because they've seen the returns on the patient feedback and the conversion percentages on their site, because you're giving people the experience before they even reach out to you.
So my data before that was, well, they keep doing them, so it must be working. Seeing this and seeing the numbers is like, oh, wow, this is working. They gave me the list of the top 10 here. Some of these have, like 7,000 views, 5,600 views, 4,000 views. These are the doctor videos, Meet the Doctors. People are watching these, and it's informing their decisions.
Now, if someone wants to get into this, I mean, obviously there's an advantage to going very professional with it, but is that the only way to do video content like this?
No, it quite frankly is not. And even for my company, Lemur Studios, we do all sorts of video. We do very professional video, and we do stuff on phones. We have a young social media manager who's very in tune with doing more fun stuff. We don't go full silly, but we do some self-deprecating stuff sometimes, and we keep it casual. But we also do the really high-end stuff because we need to have that mix. And I think most organizations need to have that mix. Really weird, I don't know where that falls with doctors being silly. I mean, there's definitely TikTok doctors out there that are getting a lot of views. I don't know. It's probably working out for them in some way, but not everyone wants to do that. And not everyone wants to be, subjecting themselves to that sort of stuff in order to get their practice going. So, you can do it with phones. You can do it with younger like less experienced people just to get video content out there. If you want to maximize your value with a larger crew, you can try to do a lot as a bulk package. So you could say, we're going to do all of our doctor videos, and it's like an assembly line, and you do 28 videos in a matter of weeks. And while you're in the middle of the process, there's a lot of ways that you can group things together and save a lot of time and money. So I would say always doing a bulk package if you can, if you have a goal to do that, like if you're starting out with video and you need a bunch of different types of video, because some of the footage is the same. Some of the footage, the big wide shot of the lobby in the waiting room can go into all the other videos when you're establishing where you are. Some of the B-roll, which is supporting footage to people who don't know what the B-roll is, the B-roll of the nurse and the patient together, getting some care, ends up in a bunch of different videos. It's just the dialogue track and the narrative that changes between them. So you may be able to save a lot of money by doing a lot of videos at one time. On the flip side, you can do just one, but you'd also want to think about how you can maximize that. Is there a way that you can get a deal to also license the B-roll package? If you have your own social media managers who have some light video experience or middle video experience, getting access to that footage through some sort of agreement, that's a whole library of stuff for your organization that you can use as much as you want. Social posts, however, a future video, and you'll just have that. So it's definitely good to discuss that beforehand. It's always weird afterwards to have the discussion of like, well, what do we do with the footage? But if you know you want it, having that discussion in the beginning makes it easier to plan accordingly and have the appropriate agreements in place.
Yeah, I would also say from the starting small standpoint, authenticity actually does go a long way. You still want it to be professional, but if you have to start small with maybe focusing on social video first before you graduate to having long form video on websites or YouTube or something like that, the phones are good now. Just go be authentic, be truthful, be yourself, and stay as professional as your brand or your personality wants you to be. Start there, go from there, and graduate up.
I would also say, very important for the starting point, get a microphone, because
like the $30 like clip-on plug-in to the phone. Yeah,
a microphone is going to make a huge difference. The video is going to be good coming out of a phone. The video is going to be all right. But if it sounds bad, it's going to instantly it takes a hit in credibility. But there's a lot of like casual doctor videos you see out there with like the doctor in the room where they see patients, just doing a quick spiel, saying some informative fact. And that gets a lot of views and a lot of play because people that are having a problem want to know more about it. And they will look for it online before they go to people. So if you have that information online driving people to you, you've invited them to come in by giving them a taste of, what kind of treatment you're doing and giving them the knowledge right off the bat to feel better in the moment that they're going to be served properly.
Yeah, and those are great for social. And I just talked about social with Amanda from Atria Social on the last episode. So if you haven't heard that, go check out episode 2. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to make sure people know before we wrap up?
Well, it's always an opportunity for a business person to throw in a plug. I'm trying to think of one. I would just say, do what's right for your business. Don't overextend yourself. Don't get into an area where you're thinking like, well, we have to do tons of video right off the bat or it's nothing. Start slow. Make a small investment in your own time. Because if you think about when you're making a video with a doctor, that person's time is very valuable. You can't
100%.
waste their time. But if you want to do some quick videos, some quick shoots, get them on social media, see how they perform, that's a pretty light lift to try internally. And I think it will pay off because people want information from doctors, and that's very valuable to them. So starting light and slow is a pretty easy way to do it. And you can get a lot done on your own without engaging with a service like Lemur Studios. But when you want to have that amazing video on your website that people go there, it's the first thing they see. You're trying to hold their attention for 1.5, 2 minutes to tell them everything about your business. You definitely do want to have that professional look that reflects your professional business.
Yeah. And to the theme of all of this, building up that patient experience expectation and making the videos patient relatable and not just a brag fest or a look at our best equipment. It's got to be something that someone wants to watch and connect with. So,
Well, going back to episode 1 of your podcast,
yeah,
count the we's versus the I's, because
I love that.
It's sales. You're serving someone, they want to know what's in it for them, not how great you are, how great you're going to be to them.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. Of course, we love doing the videos with you too. So thanks for also being part of the podcast.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to learn anything else about Jordan, lemurstudios.com. Cool. And then if you want, we also, don't forget my plug for the patient pipeline blueprint. It's our gap analysis and forecasting strategic session that we do. You can go find it at luminous.agency/blueprint. Jordan, this was awesome. Loved having you on. Very good info on the video stuff, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. And I think we need to do another video, another podcast in the future about what to expect on a production day, because we started getting into that and I was like, oh boy, that's a whole other episode. If we got into like what happens at a shoot, what should you expect? How long is it going to take? There's a whole other episode there. So
Sweet.
Hopefully we have a chance to talk again, and I'll see you then.
Sweet. We'll do it. Thanks.
Excellent.